Hello, welcome to the Digital Enterprise Society webinar series. If you can hear me okay, if you don't mind, please go ahead and type in the chat box that we're coming in clear. I'd appreciate it. Today's webinar is sponsored by Vertex. Vertex software makes 3D collaboration with your teams simple and fast. Their visual product stories unite your most important teams, from internal teams to external suppliers, partners, and customers, bringing them together into a secure, scalable platform. Vertex software helps connect teams so you can make better decisions faster. My name is Courtney McWhorter. I'll be your host for today. Before we get started, I'd like to share a little bit about Digital Enterprise Society. Digital Enterprise Society is a new nonprofit member association organized to enable transformation of product development, design, and delivery throughout the digital enterprise, regardless of software tools used. We are dedicated to the transformation of the manufacturing enterprise workforce. We'd like to invite you all to join Digital Enterprise Society. The society was formed by a PLM World Transitional Board of Directors. As part of the transition, past PLM World members have been granted free Digital Enterprise Society membership. If you had a login on the PLM World website or attended a PLM World event, including Siemens PLM Connections or regional user group events, your free membership is waiting. Just feel free to reach out to me and I can help you access that membership. Again, my name is Courtney McWhorter. I am the Marketing Communications Manager at Digital Enterprise Society. I am your host for today. If you have any questions about Digital Enterprise Society, getting involved, joining, anything at all, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help. Without further delay, I would like to introduce today's presenter, Matt Hang. Matt has over 15 years of experience in designing and building B2B cloud-based collaborative applications in manufacturing, finance, and defense. In his role at Vertex, Matt oversees all of the product management and product marketing team, in addition to leading initiatives on new products and markets. This unique position gives him the insight into ensuring new product capabilities match customer expectations and needs. Previous to his role at Vertex, Matt served as Vice President of Product and User Experience at Workiva. Over the course of his 9 years at Workiva, Matt tackled many strategic and leadership roles, including the creation and implementation of a new enterprise product line and building product strategy to grow the product footprint within existing customers. Matt received his bachelor's and master's degrees in mechanical engineering from Iowa State University. Matt's graduate work at the Virtual Reality Application Center was sponsored by the National Science Foundation, the Office of Naval Research, and DARPA. His research focused on 3D visualizations and machine learning from mechanical and materials design applications. I'm going to hand over the presentation to Matt now. If you have any questions throughout today's presentation, we invite you to post those in the questions box, and we'll have a brief Q&A following the presentation. All right. You're quite welcome.
Thank you for having me. Today we're going to be talking about the next gen engineer here. To set the stage, I've got some statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics here on the manufacturing workforce. So as we can see here, we've got about 25% of today's workforce over the age of 55. This generation probably got their start primarily on 2D drawings, and then probably got into management by the time that 3D design and drafting really took hold. The next group, 55 to 34, which coincidentally I'm at the bottom of this range. This was the group that started to really think about designing and building with a computer first here, and started to design in 3D. And then about 30% of the workforce is under the age of 34. And this would be the group traditionally in the millennial category here that has been primarily, I would say, solely thinking and designing in 3D only. So this is really interesting breakdown of where we're at. And I've talked to design engineers at large aerospace companies that are really worried about some of these statistics. They've got half of their engineering workforce in design over the age of 55, and a lot of that workforce is going to retire here in the next 10 years. So what are they going to do to backfill those design engineers? The other statistics I would like to put up here, this comes from a survey from Deloitte. Over the course of the next 10 years here, half of these engineering jobs are going to go unfulfilled. So not only are they going to retire, but they're also going to go unfulfilled. So what are we going to do about that next generation workforce? Also, 3 times the positions related to digital talent will be more difficult to find there. So, you know, it's not just the number, it's the type of digital talent that we're going to be looking for. And lastly, 1 in 5 US manufacturers are saying that finding people with the right talent is their biggest challenge in their digital transformation. So now I think we'll go to that first poll, Courtney.
All right, we have that poll up on the screen for you right now. What is the approximate age ratio in your engineering department? A couple different answers we have here. If you go ahead and answer that poll, we'd appreciate it. The options are majority new engineers, a few veteran engineers, a split of 50-50, majority veteran engineers with a few new engineers, and then not sure. Go ahead and get your answers in there. We got that poll running now. So it looks like the majority of you have voted. We have currently 15% say majority new engineers, 23% are looking at a 50-50 split. And then finally, we have 54% with the majority are veteran engineers and a few new engineers. We'll give you just one more minute. If you haven't already, go ahead and respond to that poll. We'd appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get that shut down. We're sitting still at 15% with new engineers, 23% at 50-50 split, and 54% the majority are veterans. I'm going to close that for us.
One other bit of information we have here from Rebecca Kowalski from Manpower. Just looking forward in the next 10 years, what are some of those types of jobs that will go unfulfilled? Technicians, engineers, computer scientists, software engineers, right? Sales, production workers. I mean, these are core jobs to a manufacturer that are going to need to be replaced. Also, the shift in roles that are needed in these companies, these are going to be digital, need to be digital native type skills. So it's not just the shop floor worker anymore. These are digital millennials coming in. Yep. Let's see. So the other thing that we would like to talk about here before we get into how to address this, this incoming generation of engineers, what are they going to want in their jobs? And this is very similar to other polls that I've seen from millennials, but as you can see, control my schedule is one of the top factors here. And one of the bottom factors is being hired permanently. So what does this mean? We'll get into this in a bit, but really the flexibility of when you work, where you work, how you work, that's going to be job number 1. And you know, it used to be that work was where you go in the morning, but really as this generation evolves, it's work is what you do, and no matter where you are in the world. And we'll switch over to the second poll here.
He's got that poll up for you now. Which of these technologies is your company currently investing in for design and collaboration software? With this one, we've allowed you to select multiple answers or none of the above. The options we have are cloud-hosted applications, virtual augmented reality, and model-based definition. Currently, we have a little under half of you voted. 56% have invested in cloud-hosted applications, about 60% in model-based definition, 25% in virtual augmented reality, and 17% have said none of the above. We'll give you just a few more seconds to chime in on that poll. I'm going to go ahead and close that now, and we're sitting at the results we have for that poll are 58% cloud-hosted applications, 25% virtual augmented reality, 58% have invested in model-based definition, and 17% said they have done none of the above.
Wow, that's great. That actually, it's surprising. I know at this point we are kind of at the dawn of cloud and manufacturing, so that's great to see. What I'd like to talk to everyone now is, what are the new engineers' top technology expectations entering the workforce? One of the top responses was on that flexibility. So again, a new engineer coming in is going to expect that they can do their job when they're not in front of their workstation. So we're talking about native mobile users. They're used to accessing email from anywhere on their device. They like to work in fast, agile loops, being able to communicate wherever they are in the world. It's very important for these users to feel connected with each other, which is the next top technology expectation, that there is built-in collaboration to the tools that they use. So, think about this generation coming in, probably did most of their studies at undergrad using Google Docs or Microsoft 365. They're used to Microsoft Teams and Slack and Twitter, LinkedIn. They want to have that connectedness to everyone, and with that, it's also goes back to that quick, fast cycle. So I can, on my mobile device, be looking at a drawing, be looking at a 3D model, and being able to tag whoever I want on that model and get quick feedback that way. The other top technology expectation, as we just talked about in our poll, is cloud. Cloud has almost become now where you can't even really tell if an application is cloud or not. Almost all software vendors are, if they haven't already executed on their cloud strategy, they certainly have one that they're building and trying to think the next iteration of our products. How is that going to be cloud enabled? So, the benefits are cloud is being able to access any file from a computer, laptop, wherever you are in the world. The group collaboration that we just talked about. The other important thing is that real-time collaboration. And for me, the single most important aspect that you get with the cloud is that there is that single source of truth for that information. If someone gives me a document in the cloud, I know that is the document that everyone else is working on. They're not taking that document and emailing it around, that I'm going to have to reconcile all the feedback on that document later. You're operating from a single source of information with that cloud. And then finally, especially for this group, the top technology expectations here are that it's 3D, that there is some aspect of VR, AR, mixed reality. Students today are thinking and designing in 3D. they're experimenting with virtual reality on their phones, in the classroom, and with the curriculum today, colleges are adopting 3D printing, additive manufacturing to their curriculum, and someone being able to sit down and look at a set of 2D drawings and go to the shop and actually go and build that. That is being phased out of these curriculums. So we've just gone through the four technology expectations there to review: mobile, social, cloud, and 3D AR VR. So now, that's kind of on the workforce and what the workforce is expecting, but what's actually happening in manufacturing companies? Here at Vertex, we talk to a lot of manufacturing companies that are kind of in between worlds right now. A lot of the tooling and hardware that they have within their companies, I would say is still probably was thought out and built out in the late 1990s, and that's kind of how things have stagnated over the last 20 years. And it's not their fault. I would say most of the time it's the vendors that have not really been keeping up with some of the latest and greatest innovations when it comes to the things that we're just talking about, designing for mobile, designing for social, designing for the cloud. So you're still relying on designing on a desktop computer with a big GPU, taking some of those files and adding them to file shares, copying files, sending them around. And also, because a lot of these applications are not really connected to each other, you see a lot of siloing between product teams and groups within the manufacturers. This has led to a lot of digital transformation initiatives happening within these companies. So they all recognize what they need to get to. I haven't spoken to one manufacturer that doesn't have a vision for how they're going to transform and what they would like to see in their business in the next 2 to 5 years, let's say. From their perspective, you normally will see that the cloud is the number one item that comes up with digital transformation, and we kind of saw that in our poll. And like I said, it's there's kind of a chicken and an egg problem with the cloud. If the vendors don't necessarily provide a cloud offering, the manufacturers are not going to adopt it. And a lot of cloud companies also run into the issue where, because they haven't adopted anything, there's a lot of fear about the cloud itself. So if a new software, let's say a new startup software company came out today and building a CAD product, it would be cloud first. So it's not just putting that desktop CAD in the cloud hosted on some server, but it's designing for the cloud. And I know there's a few vendors out there that I'm sure everyone's familiar with that have been building towards that vision. So we're not talking about passing files around anymore. And then, there's a lot of fear with that, because if you don't really understand the cloud, you worry about, I'm putting my very sensitive corporate data on someone else's cloud that I don't know who's managing that data. I don't know who has access to that data. So there's going to be a lot of education that comes not just from the users that want to use cloud, but also the IT teams internally at the manufacturers that need to support the cloud. And normally for us, we get a lot of questions about the security. And I would think about it this way. Companies like Microsoft and AWS and Google they hire the best security people in the world to protect their clouds. For you and your manufacturing company, what you get when you adopt the cloud is you get all of that security expertise that you probably wouldn't be able to hire in. So you're offloading a lot of that expertise on how should my configuration be, database administration, security, all of the hassle that you would normally have with standing up your own infrastructure internally. You get that by offloading those jobs to the cloud. Secondly here, and we touched on this a little bit, but everyone going forward is going to be designing primarily in 3D over 2D. So, I grew up in drafting, then going to kind of digital drafting, and then saying, all right, can I take these digital drawings and create a 3D model representation out of that? Now we're seeing the opposite here, where everyone is thinking in 3D first, thinking about additive. How do I design for additive, design for new ways of building this rather than the traditional ones? And then we kind of go backwards down to, okay, let me add the dimensioning on the 3D itself with PMI information. And then finally, if you absolutely need to, then you cut the 2D drawings where needed. So you'll start to see this with the digital transformation initiatives, that everyone wants access to 3D first and foremost, and then they get derivatives from there rather than starting with the 2D. Third digital transformation initiative would be to embrace the collaboration. And really this comes down to breaking those information silos down. We live in a very global connected world where your product team may be collaborating in other countries in different time zones. Maybe they're even in your supply chain. Maybe they're not actually a part of your company. The world works 24/7 now. So being able to do an asynchronous design review, have do your work here wherever you are, and then being able to tag those users, have that collaboration. Maybe you come in the next day and you have your designs reviewed by someone else. That really speeds up the pace of innovation, and one of the top reasons for digital transformation initiative. Along with this, I would say that oftentimes when we think about collaboration, we think of internally within engineering, but as we talk to more and more of our customers, really the collaboration is broken down within other groups of the company. So think about how do I interact with manufacturing? How do I interact with procurement, marketing, sales, or even the customer? How is the customer getting an understanding of the product capabilities? How do I share that information with them? And how do I have a collaborative discussion about their requirements for the product? So what we've, this all leads to what we're doing here at Vertex. We would like to take those challenges of collaborating and remove and unlock that data, and take that 3D data and really be able to share it across all your teams. We feel that if we're designing for the cloud, we can get the scale that we need that has traditionally been a problem with manufacturing in terms of users, in terms of model size, and take advantage of the way that we're architecting the solution here to design for the collaboration, designing for mobile, designing for cloud. Really, the solution that we've come up with internally takes advantage of all those new technologies and really solve some of those problems in those digital transformation initiatives. With that, I'm going to give you all a brief demo of what we're talking about and kind of touch on some of the points that I've been making here. So let me switch over to my screen here. As what you're looking at here is the Vertex application. What I was touching on earlier was cloud. What you're seeing here is an application designed for any web browser. It's hosted in the cloud. You log in just like you would with any other cloud-based SaaS application. On this screen, you see a workspace here. Inside of the workspace, I have a model loaded. I'm going to open up this design review that I've created within Vertex here. So what I'm going to show you here, talking about breaking down those silos and really being able to interact and do collaborative design reviews is one of the things that Vertex started out with our platform. What you see here is what we call a story. Story is you can think of it as a replacement for that old paradigm of taking snapshots of your CAD and creating a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF and sending that out. What you can see here is I've taken some 3D snapshots of this wind turbine. I'm going to drill in here. So as you can see, this model loaded very, very quickly. One of the things that Vertex does is we use the cloud to do all of our rendering. So we're not using any GPUs. We're simply rendering different parts of this model and bringing them back to the client. And what you're seeing here is just pixels. So we're not using WebGL, any OpenGL, anything on the graphics card itself. So as I move the model, I'm requesting new images from the server, and we're returning them very, very quickly. So that's the rendering aspect of things. I'm going to zoom into a subset of this model. As you can see, my 3D snapshots here, they're not just simple 2D snapshots that I would take or screenshots. These are interactive 3D snapshots. And I can zoom in and really explore this model. I'm going to go to I'm going to open up this gearbox here. And some of the collaboration that I'm talking about is being able to work through these design reviews with anyone that you want in the world. So today I'm going to be inspecting the shafts of this wind turbine. So I've got a high-speed shaft that's connected to the blades themselves that's spinning this intermediate shaft, and then finally this high-speed shaft that spins the generator. As I've previously gone in, I found a clearance issue. Not even sure this is a clearance issue. There's just a mismatch between where these gears mesh. So what I've been able to do is take a 3D snapshot and then add some markup here and then drop a comment in. So with this capability, I can add people to the story and flag these issues and share these issues out with anyone I want. And when I share the story out, that user will get a email with a link. And just like you're sharing a Google Doc or a Microsoft 365 doc, you get the link and you click the button and you're in. And you can be collaborating with whoever you want. We do add some security controls for companies that can really control how that collaboration happens. but it's really meant to replace the email threads that you would have with a customer or supplier or internally, or with sharing FTP models around, right? So from here, while this looks just like a 2D drawing, or a static 2D image, like I was saying before, this is actually 3D, right? So I can move around, I can come in, I can change what that cross section looks like. And again, all of this is being powered by the cloud. So things happen very, very quickly. I'm going to go to my next slide here. What we've got here is those two parts that are having the issue. What I have done is controlled what the collaboration looks like on each of these snapshots here. So for this particular model, I've enabled the export for this snapshot. Now, what's important for us is that I can give you the context of this entire wind turbine. So coming back in here, I can give you the context so that another design engineer, a supplier, a customer could look around, but they don't actually have access to that 3D data. Because again, it's just an image. However, for this snapshot, I've enabled export. So if I'm working with a supplier and saying, hey, like the gear's not going to mesh correctly, do you have any other options for me? I can enable export here. And instead of exporting the whole model and sharing that whole model with them, I'm just going to be sharing this assembly. And as you can see, it's just a subset of that larger wind turbine. So I can quickly do that and allow them to export to JT or STEP. And I'm going to back out here. And as you can see, you can really build out your design collaboration, your design reviews, all in 3D. All the email notifications, being able to share out with whoever you want. I can also go into attachments and add any attachments if I'm still need to collaborate on those 2D drawings. But yeah, this is the core functionality of our design reviews. One thing to point out, and I'll show this in a second, our snapshots that we do within Vertex are what we would consider to be live. They're live objects. So if new model versions are imported, and I want this supplier to get the latest version, I can click this button, get latest snapshot. So what you'll see here, so again, on this particular clearance issue, I can have that collaboration with that supplier, point out that issue. I also have another issue that I found with my brake design. So there's an issue with the brake and the caliper placement here. So I can go back and forth with that supplier or my team. And once I have resolved the issues, I can click Get Latest Snapshots here. Get Latest Snapshots is going to pull in that new version of the model. And when I do that, we're going to go through and update all the snapshots. So I can drill back into this snapshot and go in and say, oh, it looks like that's been resolved. It looks like it's meshing now. So I can go in and say, thanks, got the latest. This looks great. So let me step out and show you how we build these 3D design reviews. I go back to the screen here. So like I started before, I was in our 3D design review story. I'm going to open up this wind turbine 1 megawatt platform model. And this part of our application is what we call the story viewer, or the model viewer. I'm going to turn the entire model on. So within this model viewer, this is where I go to author those 3D snapshots that I sent out for a design review. So you can see I've got full access to the BOM. You know, the model sizes that we work with at Vertex, we've worked with BOMs over 100,000 BOM lines, 100,000 parts, just massive models that most people wouldn't be able to render one of those models on their desktop computer. So we can filter down very quickly and interactively. So if I wanted to, I can go in and drill into that gearbox again, go in, and I'm going to look for, make sure that that model is resolved correctly. I'm going to open up the gearbox and set up a cross section. So I'm going to say add section to surface. And there we go. I can drill in and again make sure that the new geometry has worked out. That looks good. One of the things that we're super excited about here is our metadata searching capability. So I can go in here, and instead of just inspecting the BOM, I can drill in and specifically look for a piece of metadata like vendor, right? So I can go in and say NSK, add filter, quickly find the part that I'm looking for, reduce it down. And then if I want to, I can do some other queries like say show nearby, and that will do a spatial search and find all the parts around this. So again, very quickly I can reduce this down, find the parts that I'm looking for, come back to the snapshots, click the camera button here, and I produce a 3D snapshot. We also have the ability to do some measurement. So again, let's head over to let's break Caliper Placement. I've got all my comments within the application as well, so I can quickly get navigate by comments and drill into this caliper. I'm going to click show only nearby, reduce down to just the parts around this. I've got a cross section set up here, so I'm going to remove that. So from here, I can do some very interesting measurements. So I'm going to cross section on this plane, and then I can get out my measurement tool and then inspect what this clearance is for my design. As I can see, it's 24 millimeters. So with that, you know, I could go ahead and click the snapshot button again, go through all of these, this process of doing my design review, and then I can create a new story with what we just captured here. So I click new story. That dumps me into the story here. I can name my story, go in, configure my story, make sure I've got all the right views that I want. And then, like I said, I can just go and click share. And let's see. Here, let me go to that first story that I created here. I just ran into an issue, but that's all right. anyways, I can quickly share. I think I don't have permissions on that workspace. So again, that caught me by surprise. But because that workspace is not mine, I don't have the ability to do that. So that's part of our security feature there. I think that kind of wraps up the demo here. Courtney, I think we can go to questions about kind of the statistics that we talked about, or to what we're seeing with manufacturers, or even the Vertex demo itself. So back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt. If you have any questions for Matt, please go ahead and put those in the questions box. We'll give you just a moment to do that. Any questions you have, just put them in the questions box. Looks like we have one here. My IT my IT team is skeptical of cloud. How do I bring this topic up? Like, how do I bring up a topic like cloud security?
Like I was saying earlier, I think you're going to have IT teams that are not familiar with cloud, be very skeptical of cloud, and be very concerned about the risk there. And that's their job, is to assess those risks. What I would say is, first and foremost, we love talking to IT teams about our cloud security model, and we can do a full walkthrough of how we're doing security internally, how we are auditing internal controls ourselves. We're going through our SOC 2 Type 2 process right now that kind of gives a overview of all the measures that we take internally to ensure cloud security. We would be happy to walk through and talk about our security measures with your IT team. Oftentimes when we do this, they're actually more impressed about how we're handling security than some of the ways that they're handling security internally. And we always go back to the how are you doing this today? If you're still allowing FTP to happen, or sharing files around, we really have gone through a lot of work ourselves to say, how can we eliminate this need to share these files? Because as soon as you share a file through FTP, that file, you have no idea where that goes. And when we talk to the IT person about, let's say, for example, this sharing the story, not only do they have controls over what types of geometry get shared out, but we also have a full audit log of who shared what model, when did they do that, the person that opened up that model, where were they in the world, what did they do with that model. And so we have a full audit trail and history of every single event that happens within our cloud. And that is true of all cloud providers. And really for us, that's a way of adding transparency and making the IT team feel comfortable with, hey, if I'm going to put this in the cloud, what measures can I put in place to ensure the safety and security of our data?
Thank you, Matt. We do have a question that came in from Ryan. How does the data get on the Vertex platform? Is this full 3D data format?
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. So one of the questions that comes up quite a bit, and I think this has just been conditioned for anyone that's been working in PLM and CAD for a while, is what is our CAD, what is our file format? For us, we will take in any neutral CAD format, as well as all of the native CAD formats out there. So think Creo and CATIA, NX, SolidWorks. So we can import those directly through the user interface, or we also have an upload API that we can either connect to the PLM system directly, or to a file system and just import data directly through our API. So if you have a folder structure set up within your company, we would respect how that is set up and just import new models as changes are updated. Or like I said, we can also tap into some of the events that are in the PLM system and only import new data when certain workflows have been initiated. For us, once we receive that file in the cloud, we go through our own translation pipeline on taking all that geometry, turning it into a representation that we understand internally at Vertex and Vertex only. Part of that is for some of the speed that you're seeing. We kind of chunk up the model and optimize it and distribute it through the cloud so that we can perform very fast operations in the cloud. And so at the end of the day, like, we're not really storing any one file format. It's really just different chunks of geometry in different databases, all encrypted, that then when you log in and open up a model, only you can bring all of that back together and get that resulting image. And so just the way that we're doing our rendering has built-in security into it, because you wouldn't necessarily be able to go out and just find an entire file sitting somewhere on a cloud server. It would just be encrypted chunks of geometry scattered about. I hope that answers the question. But going back to it, there really isn't a file format that we have. It's really just data in the database. And even like I was showing, when you click the export button, what we do there is say, what are you looking at in the BOM? Like, what should be visible there? Just grab that geometry and export that out to a step or a JT. So thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Kind of a follow-up question, I think. My company deals with mostly large BOM assemblies. Does lag and bandwidth in the cloud affect my collaboration experience?
Yeah, so one of the real benefits of cloud, like I was saying before, is the scale that you can get. So instead of just trying to have one computer or one server just do all the rendering, we can really scale up to as many computers as necessary for rendering purposes. And so we can do, like I said, 100,000 plus BOM lines very, very easily. And you often find when we come across different groups with large models, they'll tell us, wow, that's awesome. We've never seen the whole thing together. We've only looked at different sub-assemblies together. And it's really eye-opening for them, especially once we import it and open it up very, very quickly. Some of these models might take, if they can open at all, or they might take, let's say 30 minutes by the time you click open to the time that you actually start seeing some pixels on the screen. So we can do these large assemblies very, very quickly just by tapping into the cloud. And I would say that lag and bandwidth are some of the issues that you'll see with any cloud streaming service, right? So even think about other applications that use the cloud. So think about Netflix and things like that. These are really hard computer science problems that we've spent a lot of time trying to solve. One thing that we get with the way that we're doing rendering is that we're not sending any of those triangles from the server back to the client. So we're only sending essentially PNGs, images, pixels back to the client. So the data exchange is very, very low, and that allows us to perform well at high latency and things like that.
Thank you again, Matt. One more follow-up question for that. Are these collaboration processes, do they work on a phone or a tablet?
Yeah, great question. Like I said, we've designed for HTML5 specifically. And with HTML5, you can open it up on any device. So it can be a phone, it could be a tablet, a Raspberry Pi device. Because what we're doing with our rendering, where you don't require a GPU or any fancy hardware, your phone is a perfectly acceptable experience, and in fact, you get almost the same experience that you do on the phone as you would on a desktop. So it really doesn't matter wherever you are in the world. You'll be able to open up that story, have that collaboration, receive email notifications, and pretty much do everything that you need to on a phone once you set up that model.
Excellent. I just have one more here that wanted to take it back to the new generation of design engineers and what they want. What are your thoughts on what features should be added to CAD tools?
Yeah, and it's a great question. I have seen a lot of promising features around additive and generative design. So, think about being able to say, I don't really care what the shape of this part is, but I can specify, the anchor points for how this part, what is this part going to do functionally? Just specify those load requirements, maybe specify the material, and have the computer come up with the geometry. I think that's really, really fascinating, and a different way of thinking about design, where, to me, instead of me coming up with the shape of that part, I'm just really understanding, what does this part do? What feeds into this part? How is this part going to be anchored? And also thinking about, I can get very fast iterations and thinking about, okay, well, let me try it with this material and these load conditions. You might be able to spin up and get hundreds of different design solutions, and then go in and just kind of pick out what the best one is. And that really goes into some of the AI ML type aspects of CAD, and I think that's very exciting as we enter into the new manufacturing era here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt. With that, I think we've answered all the questions you had for today. I'm going to go ahead and put up Matt's information if you'd like to reach out to him or to Vertex. The website is vertexviz.com. You can check him out there. Any final words from you, Matt?
No, it's been great, and we look forward to talking with everyone. So please reach out. I'm really passionate about this topic myself. As a mechanical engineer that got into software, I'm really interested in tooling and talking about what tooling the next generation needs. So please reach out.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt, and thank you, Vertex, for sponsoring today's webinar.
Thank you.
You can also check out our Digital Enterprise Society podcast. Matt was a recent guest on episode 26. You can find that on your favorite podcast streaming platforms, as well as the Digital Enterprise Society website. Another quick update for you. We do have another webinar coming up on December 5th, customizing a plan roadmap to enable digital enterprise with Atom Spec. So check that out. That'll be December 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Finally, you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Follow along to keep informed on all the things that we will be offering. Again, my name is Courtney McWhirter. I'm the Marketing Communications Manager here at Digital Enterprise Society. If you have any questions at all, I am happy to help. Please feel free to email or give me a call. Again, Digital Enterprise Society is dedicated to the transformation of the manufacturing enterprise workforce. You can learn more or join our organization at digitalenterprisesociety.org. Again, thank you for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.